Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of Pinto's Preview here on KFGO.com. I'm Daniel Pinto Gunderson. This weekend we'll be previewing the FCS Quarterfinal matchup between the North Dakota State University Bison and the Wofford Terriers. They'll be played at Gate City Bank Field at the Fargo Dome. Kickoff for that game is 2 o'clock. Look back at last week for NDSU, a dominating performance yet again by this defense in the playoffs, a 28-3 victory over South Dakota State University in a game that the Jackrabbits really never showed up for. Zach Zenner had a pretty tough go of it. I think the team had only 3 yards, SDSU did, rushing-wise in the first half, and NDSU controlled the clock, controlled the ball. A big second quarter really helped out on their way to that 28-3 victory. So now we're here, taking on the Wofford Terriers, a team that comes in out of the SoCon, the Southern Conference, with a triple option offense, and the FCS's leading rusher in Eric Breitenstein. The 5'11", 230-pound fullback is a Walter Payton Award finalist. Very good, sturdy running back. He'll be a point of focus, not only for the team, but in Pinto's preview. So let's kick it off. First point I want to make is the offense that Wofford's going to be running. The Terriers run a triple option offense, which NDSU fans and players got acquainted with last year when NDSU took on Georgia Southern and dominated them in the FCS semifinal game at the Fargo Dome on their way to Frisco, Texas. This triple option offense, a little bit different. They run out of the pistol, they run out of the shotgun, but they don't throw. So it's the same aspect, essentially, that they just want to run and run right at you. Georgia Southern kind of want to run to the edges. Wofford's going to want to run in the middle, especially with their fullback, Eric Breitenstein, which we'll just continue on. Brings me to point 2. How does NDSU stop the FCS's leading rusher? 1,900 yards so far this season. He barely loses yardage on any run that he does. He's a big guy, tough to take down. What he's going to do is he's going to wear down your defense as the game goes on. This team loves to run the ball. I believe the least amount of carries they had in the game was 50 as a team, and the most they had was 71. So you got to imagine they're going to hit that 60 mark plateau-wise when it comes to rushes. That gives an advantage, I think, to NDSU because they really only have to plan for one form of attack coming from the Terriers, and that's the rush offense. But as we combine point 1 and 2, point 1 being the triple option offense, NDSU, short week to prepare for it. How do they react to it? Point 2 is the Eric Breitenstein, how much of an effect he has on the defense. We'll see how the linebackers do, reacting and taking the punishment he delivers as he gets to the second level. Again, 1,900 yards, and he averages about 7.1 yards per carry. So both those things kind of go hand in hand. We'll see how the NDSU defense reacts to the short week preparing for the triple option offense and how they do as the game progresses against a big fullback in Eric Breitenstein. The third and final point I want to put out there is the quarterback situation for Wofford College. Now, right now, Brian Cass, who's usually the first stringer, is going to be backed up by a guy named Michael Warner, or that's usually the backup, I should say. He hasn't really played much since South Carolina. In fact, he's only played once since South Carolina. On the depth chart, it goes Brian Cass as the first string, and then you have a walk-on sophomore in James Lawson. Now, this guy's done a good job, but again, you have to remember, they're young quarterbacks. It's a new situation for them. NDSU doesn't know what quarterback they're going to be facing. It really doesn't matter. The triple option is such a unique and intricate kind of offense, and there's a lot of responsibility put on the quarterback. Now, NDSU knows the situation with the quarterbacks. They know the regular starter, Brian Cass, he's dealing with a hip goiter. They know Michael Warner, even though he's practiced leading up to this week, he didn't play at all last week, and the guy who got the bulk of the carries was sophomore walk-on James Lawson. So, if you're NDSU and the fans, get loud. Make it tough for these quarterbacks because it's going to be very tough for them to decipher and make a lot of decisions, especially against this vaunted NDSU defense. And now, for my prediction. I've been going through this over and over again in my head. Wofford's triple option offense, their 3-4 defense, a lot of things that could cause problems for NDSU. But you have to go back to the fact that NDSU has a quarterback that has played in every single playoff game NDSU has been in FCS football history. Think of that. Robert Morris, Montana State, Eastern Washington, all of last year, and of course this year. Brock Jensen has played through injury. He's a smart kid. He knows what he's doing out there, and he's a leader. Even with how good NDSU's defense is, they're going to have to rely on Brock Jensen to make some big throws and big plays as time goes on during these playoffs. And I think against Wofford, he's going to have to come up with those big throws, big plays. So I think because of the quarterback situation, it's a big difference there for NDSU over Wofford. I've got the Bison winning this game 24-7. For Pinto's Previews and KFGO.com, I'm Daniel Gunderson.